Welcome to the Charles Van Horn Show. Today is Thursday, 12/17, and with me again today is Antoine and Josh, two of my good friends who share in my love of politics as well as life itself. I have a few bullet points that I want to touch on, and you guys just feel free to jump in at any time. First, we have a number 74,223,744. The next bullet is authoritarian regime or fledgling democracy. Third on my list today is we've come a long way, or are we simply fooling ourselves? Number 4, hate versus love. That's my positive spin that I got to put on there. Last but not least, we have 81,283,485. That's the last number that we're going to touch on that bullet point that I made for tonight's podcast. So I'm beginning this discussion with the 74 million. If you all think about this, this is not a small number of people who voted for President Trump and who identify with his politics, his policies. They worship him. They have no problems with misogyny, homophobia, racism, sexism, etc., and all of the terrible and deplorable human traits that can be found in human beings. But guess what? It can be found in one guy, Donald Trump. And throughout our history, we have seen the terrible side of humanity when it's at its worst. So what was so extraordinary about that number is 74 million people voted for this type of behavior. The next I want us to look at is the authoritarian regime, or are we a fledgling democracy? As I look at it, this is supposed to be a republic, and it seems that we leaned real hard toward authoritarianism these last 4 or 5 years. And it looks like it's almost overthrowing our democracy. And sometimes I wonder, is democracy just, a good talking point when we want to use it to beat someone else over the head with it? There are many of, Trump followers and supporters who have convinced themselves that the election was stolen. They have consumed a daily dose of BS until it's hard for them to actually remove the years of, constipation and contamination from their mental and physical psyche. So, guys, I want you to, think about this as I go through, a few more of these talking points, and, let that, marinate as we're thinking about it, because as it relates to race and the advancement of minorities in this country, we've come a long way. Is it really? We've come a long way, or are we simply fooling ourselves? Because we all know of the past, and we know of our country's bloody history. We know of the horrific record of slavery and human rights violations. And I really want to know, as we have this discussion, have we made progress, or have that simply been an illusion? And are we still fighting the same struggles and the same war against a system of inequality and inhumane acts against minorities and people of color and sometimes against women? And then the positive spin, hate versus love. I told you all that when we had this last podcast, probably in November. I said that I want to interject into the conversation a little positivity. And I want to include a glimmer of hope within our podcast. I still believe that love is stronger than hate. And even though it's been a hard slog for the last 4 years, I'm optimistic that better days are ahead. And as I said, last but not least, over 81 million people voted for President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's a huge number for voting in this country. I believe that people were hungry for change, and they showed it through their vote. And even though we have a president who is still saying that it was stolen from him, I believe that it was a very fair election. So, guys, I'm going to be quiet for a moment and give you the floor, and you all can either pick up on where I left off, or you can always hit on another hot topic. But
you had a couple points that came to my mind while I was listening to you, because I think like the quick answer to your question is that yes and yes. Like they've had 4 years of success.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, there's going to be some setbacks that we're going to have to kind of dig ourselves back out of. But there's definitely been some progress.
Okay, that's good.
Right?
That's good. Yeah.
I think I love, and I'm really surprised at the diverse cabinet that Biden is putting together.
Yes.
Like that gives me a little bit of hope.
It does.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
But man, I tell you what, like we're going to have to deal with the leftovers, the people that are still going to be very much Trump ingrained in their head, and their behaviors are changed now for who knows how long.
Right.
They've had this, I've said it before, and maybe this isn't the most PC thing to say, but like, white men really need better role models.
They really do.
I mean that. Like, we might need to give them back Jesus.
Yeah.
We might need to give them back white Jesus. Okay? He's not white, but we might let him have that.
We might have to give them back white Jesus. That's
it's
a good one.
Y'all are sports guys. Like when you trade players, like you're gonna give up Kevin Durant, but who are we gonna get back?
Yeah. What do we get in
Not to
return?
say that Kevin Durant's like Jesus. He was pretty important to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Go Thunder.
Yeah. That's a good one, Josh. That's a good one.
I love it.
That's a good one.
That's awesome. I agree with Josh with that. Yes, we have made progress. It shows itself every day, but yes, there is still a long way to go. And I think that the nation has taken a hit, with recent events over the last 4 years, and through the election, and the chaos that has continued. And all we can do is hope for some sort of relief where we can start going in a new direction after January the 20th. Until then, it's going to be the daily clown show that we see.
Yeah.
But we do. There is hope. There is hope. I personally am counting. I'm counting down. 2020 is about to go away, and I'm hell bent on making 2021 just so much better. Personally, professionally. You don't realize a lot of times what you have until it's threatened or it's taken away from you.
True.
And as a nation, I think that a lot of things were uncovered over the last 4 years. What is going on in our nation shows where the leaks are. Where in front of the rest of the world, we've always put this brave face on, and we're number one. USA.
Yeah.
But then to let go on what has happened over the last 4 years and continues to happen. When I saw, 126, legislators standing behind an absolute farce.
Yeah.
And we're talking absolute farce. We're not talking about almost, a little bit. No, absolute, unequivocal, big joke.
Right.
Anybody, if you step in a court of law, even if a child steps in front of their parent and they make an accusation, you have to have proof. You have to have something.
That's right.
Anything. Instead of just saying, they cheated. Well, where's your proof? Well, you didn't see it. You didn't see it, but I know it happened because there's no way I lost.
Yeah,
I
can feel it.
I can feel it. I know I won. There's no way. In fact, if you remember Charles and Josh, you remember he started laying the track for that. Way back in July when he actually made the statement, and I quote, "Oh, there's no way I lose
Yeah.
There's no way I lose there unless it's rigged.
Yeah.
And then he started the rig. He started the rigged talk long time ago. It was way before November 3rd. He was going to set that thing up because I think in his heart he had an ass whooping coming.
Yeah, he knew he was going to lose.
He knew he was going to lose because, and the people that continue to walk around with Trump flags, I still pass people that have Trump flags in the front of their house. And I really do want to let them know, you do know that it's December. It's over, right? I mean, you take it down. It's okay. Sometimes your team doesn't win.
Well, Antoine, I don't think they're really taking no for an answer because, as long as President Trump can continue to deliver his daily message of lies, and he has the podium right now, and as long as he can continue to do that, he has an audience. And these people, they are willing to die for him. They have already said that they are willing to actually go out here and resort to violence and lay down their lives if necessary, because they really and truly believe in what this president is telling them. And I think he has started drinking his own Kool-Aid because he's starting to believe it. Because I heard something yesterday that he doesn't really want to leave the White House on July the 20th. And I think he wants to remain there and just be defiant. And he wants to just make this election that was voted for this election that was voted by the people, for the people. He wants to make this null and void and say, let's have a do-over. It's over with. Even the courts have rejected him. They know that this was just a clown show. So I think he's going to put up a few more acts from this clown show before he actually exit the stage left. So I'm sort of worried because I don't know what he can do or will do in the last few weeks that he has left in office. He might start a war. Who knows what this guy is going to do, because he is
people need hobbies.
Yeah,
if you really want to lay your life down for something he said and is doing, you need to get a hobby.
Yeah, get a dog.
Zero going on in your life if you think your life is worth
dying. Yeah, he's not going to die for you. Well, Josh, that may be their white Jesus. We might. No. That is their white Jesus. They believe in him. They really believe in him. And so he's not really the example of the Messiah, because he actually has people resorting to their most basic instincts. He has them resorting to physical violence. He told a lot of his supporters in the first election that, hey, if you go out there and you do something, I'll pay all your legal fees. He paid no one's legal fees. These people were in trouble. He didn't come to rescue any of them. So the man is pretty demented, in my opinion, and there is no level of, there is no low level he won't stoop to, and there is nothing he won't do to remain in power. So I'm just worried that he might do something so drastic that it will cause us to have to really, really slog our way through this, even with Joe Biden as president. So that's just my opinion. That's just one person's opinion, but I'm sort of terrified of the power that he still holds.
Yes. They should take the keys of the car away from him. And it is just sad to hear and see. I mean, this isn't people have an opinion about Trump supporters and saying this is who they are. When roll the tape.
Yes.
Just roll the tape.
Roll the tape.
I mean, some of the crazy stuff that comes out is like, are you hearing yourself right now? I mean, listening to yourself. I mean, do you really believe what you're saying?
This can't be real.
This cannot be real. I mean, your kids are going to see this. Your grandkids are going to see this. Like, grandma's a nut. You know? I just don't know. We can all hope for the best, but like Josh said, this guy, could do anything in the next, 30 days. And what I hope is that you'll have, it's not a dictatorship as much as he would love for it to be. It's not. He has to have permission. He can't just start a war just to start a war. There has to be some agreement, with some others, even though he's trying to get rid of everyone that's not a yes man, or yes woman, or whatever. But we can only hope that there will be people with guts that will stand up and say, enough of this. He's on his way out. We don't have to work with the new guy. This is America isn't a country where you can just go overturn somebody because you don't agree.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
But that's what he's had all his life. Think about it, gentlemen. He doesn't believe he could lose, because if you had a $300 million head start, you wouldn't think you could ever lose either.
Correct. You're right about that. So he has a strange sense of privilege, and it has really been beneficial to him his entire life. Anytime he throws a tantrum, he normally gets what he wants, and he's able to do what he wants because of his privilege. And so right now, I was looking at the numbers. He is using the propaganda and the scare tactics, and so far, he has raised over $200 million. Most of a lot of that money was supposed to go for the Georgia candidates who are Republicans who are trying to win the Senate there. He's keeping almost all of it, and they are so upset with him because he is not letting any of that money go. He's keeping it, and he's actually just pocketing this money. But he has all of his supporters. They're still sending him donations. They're still paying to hear the message of hope and lies that he's telling them, that it's not over, that he still won by a huge margin, when that is such a big fat lie that even a child knows that's a lie. But for some reason, millions of his supporters are still believing it. And as long as you have people who believe the lie, you can always make money off of those who believe in the hype. So I can't really say that I blame him. He sees a way to profit, so he's profiting off of the ignorance of those who really just won't do the work for themselves. All they have to do is use the Google machine, and if they use the Google machine, they're able to actually research a lot of this.
This is me being petty, but I think, they deserve it. They deserve to lose that money.
They don't need it. Take it from them.
Right. Like, you have all these facts just like right in front of you, and you're just going to ignore that. Yeah, you deserve to lose however much you gave.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. Yeah, they don't need it. They're not mature enough to actually invest it. So take it from him. He's doing the right thing.
You can't give it back. They'll never learn. You can give it back to them. They got to learn.
That's right.
Hard way.
That's right. I was sort of relieved that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell finally came out and recognized President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the VP. He did that on the Senate floor. I know he's a politician who watches the signs. He pays close attention to his votes, counting the votes, and he wants to remain in power. So he stayed silent as long as he possibly could. But after the Electoral College had voted, there was no reason for him to remain quiet, and so he finally recognized Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But the thing about it, Trump now has turned the guns on Mitch McConnell. So Mitch McConnell is now in the line of fire, and he's going to start receiving a lot of bad tweets from President Trump, just like the Attorney General Bill Barr. How many of you remember Bill Barr?
Loyalty is like one ply tissue for these people.
Tears very easily.
No one's got each other's back.
They have each other's back.
They don't have each other's back. You need some quilted northern in there, man.
Bill Barr had done everything for Trump. He went against even the Mueller report. He did everything, and look what he got in the end, a dagger in the back by Trump. Trump loves no one but Trump, and anyone who goes against him expect to be turned on. He don't care who it is. I think he'll go against a child if a child says something bad about him. He doesn't really care. It's all about him. So I'm glad that a few of the senators and House members are actually finding their cojones and speaking up and being able to try to at least bring about some normality, because right now we've been in this freak show for the last 4 years, really not knowing what was up or what was down, what was sideways, because we've been in an alternate universe for a long time. But it looks like we're finally coming back to reality. That's a good thing.
I think in a lot of ways, the gentleman that you are talking about, they're noticing that if something doesn't change, that he's going to destroy the party.
Correct.
He doesn't care about the party. He cares about himself. And that
Correct.
is all.
Correct.
Bottom line, that is all. I mean, he turned on this propaganda machine. You know, when Fox.
Yes,
had
exactly.
That were actually fair and balanced. He got mad and said the worst TV, the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, well, wait a minute. You used to call. You watched them every day. You basically, you would date Melania and Sean Hannity at the same time.
Yes.
It's like, but now they're the worst because they're not your absolute mouthpiece. Now they're still at it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you check over at Fox, they're still at it. But eventually they're going to have to go ahead and say, okay, we need to move forward from this guy before he's going to drain everything we have. And I think really, and I think a lot of what Trump is afraid of is once he's out of office, now he's just a citizen. Even though they might still call him Mr. President, that's a title that you get to hold. Once you're in, you always get to hold that title. But I wonder how's that going to sound in the jumpsuit. You know,
but I think he's getting ready to deal himself an immunity. He's going to actually pardon himself before leaving in some kind of way. Even though the state may still come after him, he feels that this pardon may be able to shield him for a little while longer, Antoine. I think he feels that there is a way out for him.
Of course he does. He feels like he's a Teflon done. And so far, throughout his life, the things that he's done, he's gotten away with. He's never been punished for anything, ever.
Right.
So, I don't think that, I really think that if he got heavily fined, all that money he's collecting from the knuckleheads that want to send him their hard-earned money during COVID, I think that if even the state government comes after him and starts biting into his back pocket, that's what'll hurt him. That's what'll seriously hurt him. Going to jail, that is jail for him to take away the resources that has made him who he is. Because look at who he is. He isn't a likable person. He's a real dirtbag. Yeah. He's a misogynist, pig of a person.
Sexist. Racist.
But see, when you're rich and white in this country, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can be one of the worst people in the world, but you can buy friends.
That's true.
Everybody's got a price.
That's true. That's true.
As long as people think that they can get somewhere riding those rich coattails and get the sweet piece of cake, they don't care. They overlook the fact that they don't really like you, but they'll hang out with you.
See, the Republican Party actually used Trump to their advantage. They really had nothing in common with him, but they knew that he could get their judges. They knew that he would fill the Supreme Court. They knew that he would really sign on to anything that they gave him. He was really the blank slate that they needed, and they used him. Now they really don't need him. He's really just albatross around their neck, so they're trying to get rid of him as quickly as possible because it's all about power. It's all about control, and they don't need this guy. He's crazy. He's really batshit crazy, and they really don't want him representing their party. So they're really they're relieved that Joe Biden won. Trust me, they're relieved that Joe Biden won the presidency. This gives them a chance to do a reset. It gives them a chance to start getting back to what they do best, is collect money. And they are all part of different groups where they get money from this corporation and that corporation, and they're not going to mess up their good thing. They get millions. So these guys are smart. They're intelligent. So they want to return to a sense of normalcy, so they can actually start, getting that money and retaining their power. That's what it's all about.
I'm worried about who's going to be the second coming. Like, who's going to be trying to imitate Trump and be the next one. Like, if Trump is Paris Hilton, who's going to be the Kim Kardashian?
Yeah, man.
Who's going to come up and just, go that next extra level?
You make a good point. And who's going to... And Josh...
You need to keep an eye on those GOP, okay, who's trying to get a little more crazy?
And Josh, you probably could even go into more depth. The next person who does this, they're going to be more of an intellectual than Trump, because Trump was a dummy trying to be an authoritarian. The next person who steps into the shoes of this presidency, they will actually go further than Trump has been able to go, because they will have the intellectualism to be able to do what he could not do. I don't think Trumpism is dying, Josh. I really don't.
No.
Unfortunately, no.
I think the stench is going to be around for a while. I don't know what it's going. I mean, when 74 million people cast a vote for that ideal, for that idea of what a leader should be for this country.
Yeah.
Because basically what Donald Trump did is he proved that a lot of what is said about the United States is pure fiction, because it's a free country, but yet and we're supposed to be at the top of everything, technology, we're supposed to be the top of it, education, we're supposed to be on the top of all of this, we're supposed to be all number one.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at, and you have that guy for president, something's not right. So there's a lot of repairs that have to happen. I'm relieved that we don't have to have him be our president for the next 4 years. But as Josh said, 2024 is still a concern, because the roadmap has been laid for how do you get to the ignorant part of America and have them vote for you. And then if we don't, I don't know if the electoral college is in danger, but somehow the popular vote has to mean something. It should not have been a question whatsoever about these so-called good faith electors, that wanted to challenge or whatever. I mean, that's scary that somebody could just come in there and challenge the vote because they don't like the way it went.
Oh yeah, that is scary. Josh, I want you to chime in. I think you and I were talking before the podcast. We were talking about how they were actually I think he was someone in academics who was coming out against
Dr. Biden?
Yeah.
It's just there's been a couple. There was the Epstein article that came out, an op-ed in the Washington not Wall Street Journal. Washington?
One of the Washington Post, or one of those. I think it was the Washington Post.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
WSJ, I don't know, I have to look it up, but it was just a horrible article condemning that, Dr. Biden should drop the doctor and be referred to as just Madame, and even referred to her as kiddo. Like, right in the first sentence,
wow.
referred to her as kiddo.
Wow.
And that got me so steamed as someone who's worked with and a lot of female educators with doctorates. And then another article came out today in in the National Review, which is some conservative web space. I'm not familiar with it, and it's just even more just scathing. And so just like I was talking about imitators, someone started it, and then someone had to come up with a more extreme version of this criticism of Dr. Biden.
And these are people who are in academia, correct?
The first one is a guy that was in academia, and it's just deplorable, but it is actually an aspect of academia I've been talking about for years with my colleagues, that there is there's sexism in academics, not just at the college level and the university level, but even within the high school building, like where I used to work. I know that I would have no issues with parents, but those same parents would be really hard on my colleagues.
Wow.
And it's just something that I always noticed. And, you see it in kids too. I think that they have some of them, I guess they see a disrespect for women in the home, and they kind of push buttons when they're in the classroom. And it's just something that has always been there. But then to see them come and try and pick on Dr. Biden, I was just surprised that op-ed even got approved by the editor. But then the editor came out and
denounced it.
He didn't even denounce. No, he justified it. He just doubled down and
goodness.
Said, and so it was just really bad. And
so this is it's just like a big boys club, and they really just have each other's back when they exhibit bad behavior. That is awful. That is really awful.
It's insecurity. It's just insecurity among these academic elitist white males, and it's just, man, I'm so sick of it. And it's disgusting. Like, why would you need to go after Joe Biden's wife?
Yeah, why? What's the reason?
What are you doing to have a academic or intellectual conversation by doing that? Like, that adds nothing.
It's crazy.
You're just scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're just being mean. Like the second article that came out today, the person even tweeted out, "Oh boy, you're gonna love my next article. It's really mean." That's his direct quote.
Yeah, they're the one is trying to top the other. Yeah, they're trying to top the other. He did this, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. It's going to even be worse.
Yeah.
Man.
Kyle Smith, that's his name. You're going to love my next piece. It's so mean. He quotes.
Wow. That is awful. That is awful.
It's so adolescent. It sounds like high school. I mean, these are grown men.
These are mean boys. You've heard of mean girls, but these mean boys.
Mean boys, yeah.
Wow. Grown men.
Boys. Yeah. It's and so I was saying, it's crazy to think how so many of us were afraid of middle schoolers cyberbullying each other, but then we have these adults out here.
Right.
Acting this way. Of course. Well, exactly. Maybe that's why they got off of Twitter and they just went to TikTok.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. We gotta get away from these adults.
Yeah.
They're bad influences on us.
Man, that's sad. So sad. So sad.
Well, so, but that's my background, academics, and we've been talking about how, and really pushing a lot, that the classroom is a political place now. Like we have to, I believe, and I'm sure not all teachers would agree, but I do believe that the classroom has to help our kids, our students, make their way through all that's going on in the world.
You're right.
And that's going to be way more important than some of the academic standards that we have to also teach. Like they need someone to help process what's going on in the world and what they're seeing.
Yeah, I agree. Because
in a non-biased way, but
right, because there's so much going on. They need someone to just be unbiased. Yeah, and just.
And Josh, since you're in academics, I question that you might be able to answer. Do you think in the academic world, that things have changed to move more toward theory, individual theory, more than actual fact?
Individual theory? You want to tell me more about that?
I mean, when you have some educators, they have their theory about the way things are, and they may take it in one context, and then another professor might teach it a totally different way because this is the way they believe it is. Do you think it's more turned towards individuals and what their idea of the truth is?
I think in some schools, they will continue to do what they've always done because that's the way they've always done it. But I know that there's a big push to be more research-based, whether that's data from testing or research from actual academic research that you would see in scholarly journals. I know that's a bigger push now, and part of that is the big push to, on the history perspective, history and social studies, to show not just one side of history. I'm looking at a book right now I just finished, but I don't know if you've heard of it before, but it's Stamped by Ibram X. Kendi and Jason Reynolds, and it's huge in classrooms right now to show just not one perspective of history, but to get all the facts and show all perspectives of history. And it's a wonderful book. I would love to see something like this for for my people, for like the Latinx perspective on this. But it's a racism, anti-racism, and you, and it's meant to be a book for middle school through high school teens. And I see more of that being a push, and that gives me a lot of hope. The teachers are interested in this, and they're putting this in the hands of students. Because I only had one version of history when I was going through school.
You too.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Right? And now, like, history is actually interesting now because it requires a lot more critical analysis to see how it affects not just America, but how it affects the people that built America,
Well, gentlemen, I know that we could go on, but unfortunately, the podcast time is up. Again, I would like to thank Josh and Antoine for being my psychiatrists who have helped me through a bad place this year by allowing me to share my thoughts and everything that I was holding inside of me and giving me the opportunity to talk it out. I would also like to thank all of you who have tuned in and followed my podcast this year. Please continue to do so on whatever platform you use to listen. I know we won't return again until next year, so Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep fighting for equality. Thank you so much.
Thank you.